Wipers tick, tick, tick. The cab hums like a tired animal, and the highway smears into one long wet ribbon. I keep my hands at 10 and 2, the way the therapist told me. Like, control is a steering position and not a skill I keep losing. You ever sign something just to make the problem go away? Not to fix it, just to stop the bleeding? I did. And I don't sleep anymore. That's not me looking for sympathy. That's me putting out a flare on a black road. Don't drive where I drove. There's a mile marker on this route, 33. If you haul nights in this state, you've seen it. Lime green post, numbers that catch your headlights for a beat and then disappear into rain. Every run, it stands there in the corner of my eyes like it's counting me, not miles. 33. I pass it and it stares back. I didn't always feel watched. Some nights were just steering and coffee, the radio whispering weather or some broken song through static. But the night I'm telling you about, the one that put me where I am now, started simple. I was hungry. I was broke enough to count coins with my thumb. I was trying to be good. I was trying so hard it made my jaw ache. This isn't a ghost story, not the kind with rattling chains. It's a contract story. Paper and pen. A promise that sounded like kindness and turned out to be math. If I say it out loud, maybe it stays on my tongue and not in my head. Maybe you hear the turn I missed. Wipers tick, engine hums. 33 waits up ahead, the way exit signs wait for people who think they can still turn around. Rain stitches the windshield. Headlights float by like jellyfish, there and gone. Somewhere out left, a freight horn drags a metal yawn across the night. I keep drifting to the shoulder just to see it. The post, waist-high, reflective paint, 33. It's nothing. It's everything. I don't believe in cursed places. Roads are roads. They don't make you do anything. They just put you near the people who will. That's the part I didn't understand. How a mile marker can be a meeting, not a location. 33 is where my route bends past the diner with the humming refrigerators and the neon that can't make up its mind. If you drive nights, you know the one. Coffee like burnt pennies. Pies that look better than they taste. Parking lot that floods by the dock. I roll slow past the post and signal like anyone's behind me. Habit. The mirror throws rain back in my face. My name is Michael, by the way. Folks call me Mike if they know me, or, hey, driver, if they don't. I'm 40-something and tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Probation papers in my wallet crease like a second spine. That night, money was thin. Last $40 for tolls, gas, and a sandwich I could hold in one hand. Pay was hitting tomorrow. Tonight meant stomach talking louder than the radio. I figured I'd duck in, keep my head down, chew slow, and get out. No trouble. No detours. I'd been practicing that, no detours. The sign slipped past the passenger window, bright and wet, 33. I told myself it was a marker, not a message. I told myself a lot of things, the way people do when the road is quiet and their head isn't. The diner's neon blinked once, twice, like a bad thought. I should have kept rolling. I took the turn. Bell over the door did that tired jingle. Heat hit my face. Grease, coffee, a warm sweet from pies turning in a glass case. A fan in the corner hummed like a refrigerator had swallowed a bee. I counted change with my thumb while the kid behind the register didn't look up. $40 felt like a dare. Coffee black, sandwich cheapest. I said it soft, like you can order without being seen. The kid slid a chipped mug my way and a ticket with a number I didn't read. I palmed my wallet shut and told myself the same thing I'd told my daughter a few hours before. 2 more runs, then I'm taking you to the game. I'm getting better. She'd laughed. The good kind. The kind you hear in your ribs. Promise? She'd said. I said the word too fast and then sat with it after, feeling how heavy a promise gets once it leaves your mouth. Promises are like lug nuts. Forget one, and the wheel looks fine until it doesn't. I took a booth by the window. Rain ticked on the metal awning outside. Out past the glass, my truck sat like a big, wet animal under the sodium lights. I wrapped my hands around the mug and tried to drink patience. Folks talk low in a place like that, the way you do when nighttime has its hand on your shoulder. If this story had a clean moral, I'd give it to you now. Something about anger, something about standing up or walking away. But it doesn't. It's only got what happened, and the way it echoes after. I was hungry. I was careful. I was trying to be a person my daughter would still say promise to. That was the shape of me when the tray went up. There's a mirror on the wall by the pies, a strip of old glass that makes everyone look a little bent. I saw myself in it. Wet jacket, tired face, a man who'd learned to swallow heat and call it discipline. For a second, maybe it was the neon. I watched my reflection lag, like it moved a heartbeat after me. I blinked, and it was nothing. That's how the night was. A bunch of nothings that added up. The sandwich landed on my table with a soft plate scrape. I picked it apart because that's what you do when you're trying to make food last and thoughts stop. The coffee tasted like the pot had seen too many shifts. It was fine. Better than fine, for a man counting gas miles in tomorrow's deposit. I checked my phone. 1 missed call from daughter and a text bubble I didn't open. You hold those messages like hot coins. The longer you don't touch them, the more you know you should have. Across the diner, a man laughed. It wasn't the sound that got me. It was the way the whole room adjusted around it. The staff didn't look. The other customers didn't either. Some places teach you to keep your eyes on your own plate. I've lived most of my life that way. Therapist says that's not virtue, that's fear dressed up for church. I told myself, eat, pay, leave, stay small, keep the promise. The road will be easier once you're rolling again. 33 is only a number. And then the bell over the door jingled behind me, soft as a coin rolling. And the kind of night that takes everything started like nights do. Quiet as breath. Rain stitched the parking lot into dark cloth, every drop catching a smear of red or blue from the neon over the door. I eased the truck into an empty slot along the fence, engine ticking down, heat ghosting off the hood. From where I sat, I could hear the sign's tired buzz, that high, insecty buzz you only notice when you're alone. And underneath it, the steady thrum from the walk-in coolers out back. Even outside, the diner sounded like it was breathing. In with the door, out with the fan. I killed the headlights and let my eyes adjust. Puddles held the building upside down, letters rippling in oil-slick circles. The neon couldn't decide if it was open or just OPE, and the N blinked like a faulty heartbeat. Far side of the lot, a soda machine kept its own small storm of light, a square aquarium in the rain. Somewhere beyond the dumpsters, the refrigeration units hummed a low that sank into my ribs. It was a familiar kind of company, machines doing what they were built to do. I patted my pocket like a man checking a wound. Wallet was there. Thin, soft, from too many thumbs. Last $40. Gas, tolls, the cheapest sandwich. Pay hits tomorrow, if tomorrow behaves. I told myself I'd go in, stand quiet, keep my shoulders small, and get back on the road before my luck noticed me. When I cracked the door, the smell of fryer oil came first, carried by wet air and the distant sweetness of pie crust. I stepped down into the puddle and watched the ripple break the neon in half. The awning leaked a steady metronome on the metal chair by the window. Plink, plink. And for a second, I just listened, letting the night count time for me. Places like this are way stations, not destinations. They don't fix you. They hand you heat and caffeine and send you on. I touched the handle, felt the chill of the chrome, and told myself, in, out, no trouble. The bell over the door was waiting to make its small, tired sound. Bell gives that tired little jingle, and the heat folds around me. Coffee, fryer oil, something sweet turning under glass. The counter's formica is warm from the lamp above it, and the register kid doesn't look up. Behind him, the receipt is trapped under the glass like a pressed leaf, total due from someone else's night. I set my wallet down, and it collapses like an empty cup. Coffee, black, and the cheapest sandwich you got. My voice comes out careful, like I'm handling thin glass. I thumb out bills that have been folded too long. A 5, another 5, 2 crumpled ones. The corners are soft as cloth. Then the coins, a quarter with a gouge, 3 more that don't match. Nickels that smell like old keys, a small, unhappy hill of pennies. Metal clinks against the counter in little bright dings that sound louder than they are. Somewhere behind me, a waitress laughs once and stops. The walk-in hums steady. The neon keeps up its mosquito buzz. The kid slides a mug under the burner and pours without looking. "You want that to go?" he says to the air. "To stay," I tell him, and keep counting because I don't trust my own math when my stomach is talking. Tolls $8 on the bridge, gas needles south of half, and I still have to make the drop and get back. I find another quarter in the wallet's seam like a lost tooth. It brings the pile to enough. Barely. I push it toward him with one finger, try not to look like I'm pushing my luck with it. He taps buttons, the register coughs a paper tongue, and he pins it under the glass with the others. "Number 22, he says, but there's nobody ahead of me. He slides the mug over. It thumps my palm like a warm handshake. I breathe the steam instead of drinking, just to feel full of something. I tuck the wallet away. It presses against a folded edge of court paper and finds its place like a second spine. I pretend I don't notice. The mug warms my fingers, but not the part of me that needs it. The wallet sits heavy again where I put it, the way a rock sits in a boot. You can walk, sure, but you feel it every step. Probation isn't chains, it's errands. It's reminders. Thursdays at 9 a.m. Anger class in a church basement that smells like dust and coffee. Once a month, the PO asks the same questions and writes the same notes like he's filling in a crossword with my life. "Any incidents, Michael?" He says it soft, like we're both pretending I'm a safer man than my file suggests. The rules are simple and slippery. No altercations. No alcohol within 12 hours of operating. Check in before crossing state lines. Keep employment. Keep your temper in its pen. I tell him I'm trying. He taps his pen and says, "Try quieter." The therapist gave me phrases to hold in my mouth when the heat comes up. 10 and 2. Count backward from 5. Name what you see. Cup, window, rain, hand. She says anger isn't fire. It's a locked room with a stuck door. You don't force it, she tells me. You find the latch. I nod and practice in parking lots, in the cab, in lines behind slow people. Sometimes it works. Sometimes my hands shake like they're trying to remember a fight my head already lost. I keep my shoulders small at the counter. The kid calls 22 to nobody, then glances at me so quick it doesn't count. A clock over the grill ticks with a dry classroom sound. The walk-in hum blends with the fan until it's one long breath the building takes for all of us. The neon outside does its mosquito prayer, on and off, on and off. I slide $1 into the tip jar because I need to feel like I can choose something good. When I turn to take my booth, I catch myself in the pie case glass and, for half a second, something in that reflection doesn't keep up. I stand there a second longer than a man needs to, watching myself in the pie case glass like it's a pond you could step into. The angle is wrong, warped by sugar and grease. But there's something else. The way the room in the reflection seems to trail the real one by a blink. A waitress sets a plate 2 booths down. In the glass, her hand lands half a heartbeat late. The neon outside blinks, OPEE, open, OPE, and my reflected jacket hitches out of time with my shoulders. Name what you see, the therapist's voice says from the basement with the bad coffee. Cup, window, rain, hand. I breathe in through my nose and let the fan's slow breath carry it out of me. It's nothing, I tell myself. Old glass, bad ballast in the sign, eyes that want to make patterns when they're tired. 22, the kid calls again, like the number might go stale if he leaves it on the warming shelf. I lift the tray. The plate slides a 1/4 inch. The mug kisses the saucer. My hands shake just a little, the way a rig vibrates at idle. I center the cup, tuck the napkin under, make a ceremony out of balance, like that's how men keep promises. The booth by the window is still mine. Out there, the truck sits with rain slicking down its sides, patient as an ox. The awning taps a steady plink, plink on the metal chair. Inside, the walk-in hum deepens for a beat, and then evens out, same as my breath. I pivot from the counter, tray level, eyes down. No detours. In, out, quiet, small. In the mirror, for just a blink, I swear I see the back door beyond the counter swing open before it actually does, like the reflection knows the hinge better than the room. I laugh in my throat, just nerves, and take my first step. The bell over the door doesn't jingle this time. It snaps, sharp, like a coin hitting tile. A shoulder moves where there shouldn't be one. I keep the tray level and turn. Tray steady, eyes down. That's the plan. The bell's snap still rings in my ear when a shoulder cuts across my path like a lane change without a blinker. Hoodie, wet and dark. A hint of cheap cologne fighting fryer oil. I pivot, tray tight to my chest. But he keeps coming, hip to hip. Like the aisle belongs to him and I'm furniture. Hey! I start soft. Not even a word yet. His elbow lifts just enough to catch the edge of the tray. It doesn't look like much. It's enough. Plate slides, coffee tilts, and the whole world tips into slow motion. The cup goes first. A little black arc, steam pulling a thread behind it. Then the plate, a white moon spinning grease and bread into orbit. The fork skitters away like a scared thing. The tray smacks my wrist and pops free. Sound happens in pieces. Porcelain kisses tile, tink, then slams, crack. Coffee explodes in a brown starburst. Bread lands face down with a soft, humiliating flop. The fork keeps going until it pings the baseboard. A napkin floats down last, like the room is mocking gravity. I catch my balance with one hand on the counter. The other stays up, empty now, palm open like I'm swearing something I can't keep. Heat climbs my neck, that old, bright heat. 10 and 2, I hear from the church basement room. Count backward from 5. Name what you see: coffee, tile, shoe, hand. Watch it, dumbass, he says, not loud, just clear enough to hang in the air. The word lands like a coin tossed into a jar that's already full of the same coin. The diner inhales. Not gasps, inhales. Heads turn a fraction and stop. The kid at the register freezes with a receipt half torn. A waitress sets a plate and doesn't look up. The walk-in hum doesn't change. It just sounds bigger now. Neon outside twitches between Opie and open like it can't decide if the place is for me. I kneel because someone has to. Coffee licks my knuckles, hot. My fingers shake. I'm careful with the broken rim, like careful can fix what broke. He's still there, weight on one foot, watching like I'm TV. I lift my eyes. He smiles a little. No teeth, just that tilt people wear when they know the room will side with them. He doesn't move to help. He shifts his weight so the drip from my coffee can find his shoe if it wants. It doesn't. It pools around my fingers and makes them shine. I look past him, because that's where mercy usually lives. The kid at the register tears the rest of the receipt and pins it under glass without meeting my eyes. A couple in a corner booth both discover their menus have tiny print that needs squinting. A trucker at the counter, one of mine, stirs his cup and watches the spoon turn like he's hypnotizing it. Somebody gives a single laugh at nothing. It evaporates. The walk-in hum sits on my shoulders, heavier now. Neon buzzes Opie, open, Opie. And every time it goes dark for a beat, I think the whole room will stop breathing. It doesn't. The fork under the baseboard makes a small metal itch against tile in the air conditioning draft. Somewhere toward the kitchen, a mop bucket sloshes, patient as rain. Clean up on 3, a waitress says from behind me. It's not unkind. It's not anything. Name what you see: cup, tile, shoe, hand, my hand. It's shaking. 10 and 2, the therapist says, like I can put my anger on a steering wheel and keep it between the lines. Probation officer's voice drops in. Any incidents, Michael? Try quieter. High school comes back in smell first. Bleach and boy sweat. Kevin Turner kicks my backpack into the urinal. The strap slaps porcelain. Water licks up my jeans. Everyone saw. The teacher frowned like the weather had changed and then kept writing dates on the board. I learned something important that day. Rooms can decide you don't exist even when they're staring right at you. Maybe watch where you're going. Hoodie says. Casual. To no one and everyone. I pick the biggest plate shard by the safe edge and set it on the tray. I make a pile. It makes me feel like there's a version of control I still know how to do. Coffee crawls down my wrist, and I don't wipe it. Sir, we'll get that, the waitress says, finally, the way you tell a stranger he's bleeding. Yeah, I say. My voice fits in a matchbox. I stand. I carry the empty tray to the window booth like it weighs something a man should carry. I take the booth like it's a life raft. Slide in, spine to the glass, tray down, hands flat so they remember where to stay. The window is cold through the jacket. Outside, the truck huffs a little white into the rain. The awning keeps time on the metal chair. Plink, plink. The walk-in hum holds the ceiling up. Neon can't decide if it's open or pretending. The sandwich is gone. Coffee is a map on the floor. Last $40 just bought me heat on my face and a lesson I already knew. I pick up the dry napkin from the tray and fold it into a small square, like that can make it useful again. It can't. My stomach talks anyway. Name what you see, the therapist says, voiced from a church basement with folding chairs. Glass, rain, hand. Fork scratch under the baseboard. Count backward. 5, 4, 3, 10, and 2 without a wheel. I set my elbows wide on the table and breathe until my hands stop trying to remember other nights. Across the room, the kid pins another receipt under the glass like he's tucking it in. The couple in the corner goes back to tiny print. The other driver at the counter watches himself stir. Nobody is cruel. They're just not with me. That's almost worse. I check the wallet I shouldn't check. The court paper edge warms against my palm like it has a pulse. Any incidents, Michael? Try quieter. I press my thumb into the leather until it hurts. Quiet is expensive. Quiet costs the price of a sandwich and the part of you that wants to stand up. The hoodie guy has already turned away. He moves like men who never pay the bill for what they do. He drifts past the pie case, taps the counter twice, expects someone else to sweep his wake. I look down. I swallow. I decide to be small enough the world won't catch a grip on me. I think about my daughter's voice. 2 more runs. Promise? I tell the window. Fine, okay, I hear you. In, out, no detours. Keep the road straight. Keep the room quiet. Let this pass like weather and I'll go. A plate lands soft on the table across from me. Not mine. Someone's shadow interrupts the neon flicker. The shadow resolves into a woman. Coat dark from the rain, hair gathered back like she didn't plan on staying long. She's not dripping. She's composed in the way people are when weather doesn't get a vote. The neon blinks, OPE, open, OPE. And for a beat, the pink washes her face, then the blue, then it's just diner light again. She sets a plate down across from me with the softness of someone who respects crockery. Not a big show, just ceramic against laminate. A brief tique as it finds the place where tables always want a plate to sit. A mug follows, touch light, no ring left behind. I'm sure I would have heard the waitress bring it, but I didn't. Maybe I was busy holding my hand still. Mind if I sit? She says. Not a question that needs yes. More a courtesy before the inevitable. Her voice is quiet, the kind that makes people lean forward instead of step back. I look at the empty bench, then at the door, then at my hands. Go ahead, I say, because refusing would make a noise in the room, and I've had enough of those tonight. She slides into the booth like she's done it 1,000 times, spine straight, coat folded beside her in one motion that doesn't drip anywhere. Close up, she looks like the kind of tired that doesn't show under eyes. It lives somewhere in the jaw. There's a small, clean smell. Soap, not perfume. The kind of person who doesn't announce. The building breathes. The walk-in hum drops half a note just for a second, as if the compressor sighed. The fan over the pies clicks once and then remembers its job. Outside, the awning keeps its plink, plink on the metal chair, counting for both of us. We don't talk, not for a few breaths. She wraps her hands around her mug and watches the window the way I was watching. People who don't rush the first sentence usually know what they're doing with the rest. Rough night, she says finally, not looking at the floor where my coffee has become a continent. It isn't sympathy. It isn't anything sharp either. It's a line cast lightly to see if there's water. I nod. My throat is crowded. She doesn't fill the silence. She lets it sit there, warm as steam between us, until it feels like a choice I can make. Okay, I say, though she didn't ask anything yet. She turns her face toward me. The neon outside blinks, and for a blink, her reflection in the window lags the room by a heartbeat. She smiles like a professional. Then she waits. She keeps both hands on her mug like it's a small stove she's borrowed for a minute. We let the room breathe. The fan over the pies ticks once and finds its rhythm again. Out back, the walk-in drops a half note, then settles into that steady you can lean a thought against. The neon decides on open for a heartbeat, then changes its mind. Mind if I sit? She'd asked. And I'd said yes, because saying no would make the kind of sound I'm trying to live without. We sit in that permission a while. No rescue voice, no questions with teeth. She nudges the plate she brought an inch toward the middle. No big push, just a signal. Half a grilled cheese, thick cut, corner crisped, steam lifting like a suggestion. A pickle rides the edge, shining. The butter smell finds the hollow place under my ribs like it knows the address. You looked hungry, she says, not quite looking at me. I got too much. It lands gentle, the way you'd place a coat over the back of a chair nobody's using. Pride rises, does a lap, tells me I can wait, tells me I'm fine. My stomach answers like an old pipe knocking in the wall. I start, and the word doesn't pick a direction. It's going to sit there and go cold, she says, still easy. Which would be a shame. She doesn't angle the plate any closer. She doesn't lift her mug like a toast. She just lets the food be food and the offer be air between us. I wait for the hook, strings, a favor, a joke about how clumsy I was. Nothing comes. I slide the plate the last inch to my side. The fork taps ceramic once, TK, like a tiny bell that means permission granted. First bite burns a little and tastes like a memory of good weather. I realize I've been braced for a catch so hard my shoulders forgot how to drop. Thank you, I say, and it sounds like it comes from somewhere deeper than my throat. Of course, she says, as if I'd handed her something and she was just passing it back warm. The awning keeps time on the metal chair. Plink, plink. And for the first minute all night, I don't hear myself think. She lets me eat a few bites before she puts anything between us but steam. When she does, it's not a story. It's a sentence, tested for weight. I don't do courtroom stuff, she says, eyes on the window, voice low enough that it folds into the room instead of sitting on top of it. I handle problems before they start wearing uniforms, quiet fixes. The words land soft, but they have corners. Out back, the walk-in drops a half note again and hums steady, like it approves. The neon does its mosquito song, bzz, and the fan taps once and forgets. People come to you? I ask. The grilled cheese settles warm under my ribs. Pride loosens a notch. Sometimes, she says. Sometimes I come to them. Bad nights have a shape. You start to recognize it from across a parking lot. She sets a card on the table. Not slid at me, just set down, square. Heavy paper. No company line, no phone number I can see. Just a clean symbol embossed into the stock, something that could be a scale, or a road, or both. I turn it with a finger. The back is blank. It makes me want to ask a question and also not ask any. What kind of problems? I keep my eyes on the card so my hands don't have to be the ones talking. The kind you can't fix by being right, she says. The kind you don't want the lights for. She sips, doesn't watch me while she says it. People who sell things stare. She doesn't. I'm aware of the building's breath again. Coolers, fan, rain. Like a machine that's memorized its route. Sounds expensive, I say, and try to make it a joke that won't draw blood. It costs what it costs, she says, but it's clean. No mess, no noise. A beat. Very clean. The phrase sits on the laminate like a coin. I fold the napkin, unfold it, fold it again. If it isn't me, she adds, almost to the glass, someone else comes. I don't pick the mile marker. I just meet the quota. The word quota clicks in my head like a gear finding a tooth. I look up. She's watching the reflection in the window, not me. The awning keeps time. Plink, plink. And my question climbs my throat and stops. What do I call you? I ask. She smiles, like we've finally arrived at the right part of the conversation. She turns the card with one fingertip, so the blank side faces up again. The cooler hum deepens, and then evens out, like the building cleared its throat. Neon taps its mosquito hymn, bzzz, and the awning keeps time on the metal chair. We sit in the careful part of a conversation where both people pretend they aren't deciding anything. Michael, she says. The name lands like a hand on the back of my neck. Not loud, not wrong, just placed. I feel my shoulders answer before my mouth does. I didn't tell you that, I say, lighter than I feel. She nods toward the window as if the glass could answer for her. Guy at the pump said it, 10 minutes ago. Mike, you're dripping diesel. He had a name tag. I read things without meaning to. She lifts the mug. Occupational hazard. I make myself replay it. The pumps. The clerk with the crooked badge. The way people talk to drivers like we're first names and directions. It fits. My stomach stops trying to climb my throat. Still, some part of me counts doors and exits. Like a dog that slept through a storm before and doesn't trust clear sky. Michael's fine, I say. Mike's for people who know me. I hear how that sounds and wish I could put it back. Michael, then, she says, not smiling at the rule, only acknowledging it like a speed limit sign. Her eyes are on the window, not me. In the glass, we sit a fraction behind ourselves again, reflections lagging like bad signal. A waitress sets a plate 2 booths down. In the pane, lands late. Old glass, bad ballast, tired eyes. I pick one and let the others go. You handle a lot of nights like this? I ask. More than you think, she says. They start different. They end the same. How's that? Clean, she says. No mess, no noise. The word clean has edges. I can feel them in my palm where the court paper rides the wallet. She tilts her chin toward the rain-black pane, toward the part of the lot the neon doesn't reach. He's out back, she says. She angles her chin toward the window, not at me. At the black slice of lot the neon can't quite reach. In the glass, I follow it like a dog follows a finger. Back by the loading dock, in that orange bowl of sodium vapor, he's a shape with a hood and a hand that glows at the tip. Cigarette ember lifts, falls, lifts. He leans on the car he doesn't deserve and watches the rain choose where to land. The building makes its long breath. Walk in, fan tick, neon buzz. And the awning keeps time on the metal chair. Plink, plink. When the back door swings for a bus tub, its hinge gives a small wet E and then shuts the night back out. Out there, water sheets off the gutter and drums the dock planks with a low, hollow whup. He doesn't look cold. He looks like a man rehearsing how the next 5 minutes belong to him. "Lot's thin this late," she says to the glass. "Staff park up front. Back by the dock is just delivery and people who like to be alone." I swallow a round coffee I didn't finish. Therapist voice arrives with its toolbox. Name what you see. Light, car, smoke, hand. Count back from 5. 10 and 2 without a wheel. My hands stay where they are, but the bones inside them lean. "He won't stop because nights like this don't teach him," she says, not cruel, not heated. "They confirm him. He learned a long time ago that rooms move around him. You saw it." I did. Everyone saw it. She doesn't turn to look at me. Men like that don't stop until someone stops them. She lets it hang there without a hook. No siren in her voice, no push. The plate between us steams and cools in its own time. "I'm not telling you anything," she adds, finally meeting my eyes. "Just locating the pieces on the board. He's out back, alone, for now." The rain hisses over the lot. The ember lifts and drops like a blink. I look at my hands, at the crease the court paper makes through the wallet, at the window where our reflections lag a heartbeat behind us. She holds my gaze a second longer than comfort, then sets it down gently. "Ever regret not stepping in?" Her question hangs between us like a bell after the strike. Ever regret not stepping in? The diner noise thins, and what comes up isn't this room. It's tile and bleach and the hollow drum of a basketball somewhere down a hallway where it doesn't belong. High school corridors have their own weather. Ours smelled like mop water, pencil shavings, the heat of too many bodies under thrift store hoodies. Lockers were a wall of chipped blue, each with a mouth that screamed if you yanked it wrong. After last period, the lights went colder, like the custodians owned the sun. I was 17 and already learning that quiet could be a weapon if you held it right. She was a year older, brighter than the hallway deserved. Book bag crossbody, jaw set the way people set jaws when they've memorized routes out. The two boys were exactly the kind that grow into men like the one by the dock. Laughter was a tool, not a sound. They weren't big, but they practiced on people until they fit just right in fear. I saw it first in reflections, not mirrors, just metal. A locker door showing a bend of motion that wasn't mine. A book nudged from her hands, a shoulder in her path. The apology that was really inventory. My feet went faster than my thinking, and then stalled, like a rig at a bad light. "Go," she said, not looking at me. Voice level so it wouldn't count as a scene. "I'll handle it." It was a thing we'd rehearsed without knowing. Her asking for the dignity of solving her own day. Me wanting to be the kind of brother who didn't make new fires while putting out old ones. Also this. I was already afraid of how my anger moved once it stood up. If I went in, I didn't trust the exit. "Name what you see," the future therapist would say. Locker, book, laugh, hand. I named them by leaving. I walked. The bell rang for late buses. The corridor's echo folded me into a boy I still carry. I didn't see the rest. I learned it later, and later is a kind of forever. "I'll handle it," she'd said, and I let those 3 words walk me down the hall like a hall pass. Fluorescents hummed. The clock did its dry tick. Sneakers squeaked in some other story that wasn't ours. I turned a corner and became somebody who had not seen anything. Later came like weather. A counselor's office with carpet that swallowed footsteps. A radiator clicking in a rhythm that didn't help. Paper cups, cold water. A blanket around her shoulders that made her look smaller than she ever was. I remember her shoes more than her face. Laces loose, one double knotted, a dark scuff on the toe from a door you kick with your heart in your throat. No details were spoken. They didn't have to be. The room knew them, and so did we. The vice principal measured words like aspirin. Somebody said incident. Somebody said report. A woman with a legal pad asked questions kindly, which is a kindness that can feel like gravel. My sister nodded or shook her head and kept her jaw set the way people do when they won't let a room take anything else. When I finally sat beside her, she didn't look at me. "I told you to go," she said. Same level tone as in the hallway, as if we were discussing a chore I'd done correctly. It should have absolved me. It did the opposite. "I'll handle it," became a verdict I carried. Anger started learning my name after that. Not explosions, aftershocks. I'd hear laughter used like a tool and feel my hands wake up. A shoulder in a doorway and I'd need every trick. Count back from 5. Name the room like a witness. Chair, clock, window, hand. Sometimes the latch gave, sometimes it didn't. Years later, when a cop wrote my name on a report and a judge turned it into probation, I understood what I'd been telling myself. I was afraid of becoming the thing I thought I needed to stop. Then I had a daughter, and the math got worse. You think about someone telling her, "I'll handle it," and you walking away, and your ribs make a sound you don't let out. You promise the air you'll do better next time, like air takes promises. Back in the diner, the cooler hummed its low The awning kept its plink, plink, and rain ran its finger down the window. Across from me, the woman didn't press. She let the quiet be the cup I could drink from. When she finally spoke, it wasn't a command. "Some nights," she said, "there isn't a later." After the office and the forms and the voices that never said the word, I found myself on the football field because that's where the town kept its dark when the buildings were done with it. The lights were off, but the tall poles hummed anyway, like they remembered how. Wind worried the flag rope, so the clip ticked the pole, clink, clink, and the aluminum bleachers held the night like a cold dish. I climbed to the middle row and sat where you can see everything and nothing. The field lines were ghosts in the grass. Paper cups wandered the track in slow circles. From the far end, a gate rattled on its hinge every time the wind found it. My breath looked too big in the air, like it belonged to somebody older. "Name what you see," some future voice would tell me. Bench, rail, light pole, hand. I didn't know the trick yet, but I started counting anyway. The bolts, the risers, the ribs under the seat. Because numbers don't argue and metal doesn't lie. I rehearsed the scene I hadn't played. Me walking back down that hallway, me saying no in a voice that didn't shake. Me putting a hand up with nothing behind it but the shape of a stop sign. In the rehearsal, nobody bled. In the rehearsal, I stayed a person I recognized. The real knight sat beside me and didn't say a thing. I tried on anger like a jacket I hadn't grown into. It pinched at the shoulders and dragged at the sleeves and made me feel like if I moved wrong, I'd tear the whole thing. I told myself I'd be better next time. I told myself I'd be the version with the latch that opens. I told myself a lot of things the bleachers were too old to believe. Somewhere a maintenance cart coughed to life and then thought better of it. A train laid a low line across the far miles. I put my elbows on my knees and let my head hang and listened to metal cool. Years later, when a judge said the word probation and a therapist under church fluorescent lights, gave me breathing like a tool instead of a punishment. I would sit on different bleachers, Little League, plastic, squeaky, and promise a small hand I'd do better. 2 more runs, then the game. I'm getting better. Back in the diner, the cooler's folds my memory closed like a page. My thumb has already found the wallet in my pocket, hunting something softer than rules. I fish the wallet out because I need a reason to put my hands somewhere they can't break anything. Leather gives like old skin. The court paper edge rubs my palm, my second spine. So I peel it back and slide the photo out from behind it. The laminate is cloudy from years of pockets. The corners aren't corners anymore, just rounded decisions. It's the 3 of us at a county fair that smelled like hay and diesel. My daughter in a red hoodie, hair escaping the hood, eyes pitched forward like there's a ride only she can see. I'm kneeling to be in her frame, smile set careful. A man trying on gentle and hoping it fits. There's another figure cropped by my thumb, history I don't need right now. So I let the thumb do the work it wants. The background is strung bulbs in early dark, little planets. If you turn the photo, they look like they could be rain. Name what you see, I hear, like the therapist has the booth next to ours. Hoodie, bulbs, hands, promise. I let the picture do what it always does. Stack my lives. 17 on bleachers with cold wind. 30-something in a courtroom that smells like floor wax. 40-something at a diner with rain counting time and a man outside smoking like nothing in the world is learning him tonight. My sister's jaw, set. My daughter's eyes, open. Both of them fit in my ribs at once and make the same space hurt. Across from me, she doesn't lean. She doesn't ask. She lets the hum of the walk-in fill the booth and the neon do its bizez prayer and the awning keep its plink, plink on the metal chair. The plate between us fogs and cools the way plates do when nobody hurries them. She's a patient absence in a world that loves to crowd. He's out back, she says, almost an echo of before. Staff's busy, lots thin, for now. No siren in it, no push. I look at the photo 1 beat longer, then slide it back behind the paper like putting a candle out with a glass. My thumb stays over the cropped edge. I feel the wallet find its place in my pocket, a weight that gives me a direction to lean. Tell me to stop him, I say. The word's too quiet to make a scene. She holds my eyes and doesn't blink fast, like she respects the distance between sentences. I never tell anyone what to do, she says. Men like him don't stop until someone stops them. The room breathes. The hinge to the back door gives its small wet eye and shuts the night again. The cigarette ember lifts, falls. Okay, I say to the window, to the photo, to the part of me that hates later. I slide out of the booth. The chair legs make a polite sound against tile. Outside, the toolbox latch already knows my hand. By the way, if you've been riding with me this far, you might want to hit that subscribe button. These roads don't end here. The air outside hits like a wet towel. Warm grease, cold rain, the dock's dull whoop where water drums the planks. My truck ticks as the heat leaves it. Somewhere behind the diner, the refrigeration bank holds a low that makes the night feel wired into the wall. The toolbox on the side rail knows my hand. Thumb under the latch, lift, tsk, and the lid gives with that sticky gasket sigh. Inside, sockets in a row like teeth, a roll of tape that's picked up road grit, a pry bar with paint scars, and a lip rubbed smooth where it's done too much work. I close my fingers around the bar, and the cold goes straight to the bones. It's not heavy. It's definite. Not to kill. I tell the rain, the truck, the part of me that waits for orders. Just make them small. The therapist says anger is a locked room with a stuck door. You don't force it. You find the latch. Tonight, I'm holding a different kind of latch. That thought sits wrong and right at the same time. Name what you see. Dock light, steam from a vent, cigarette ember, hand. My boots hit the lot. Scuff, scuff, tread taking a print in the thin skin of water over oil. Sodium vapor throws that prison orange bowl over everything, and flakes of paint lift off the handrail like old fish scales. At the far edge, the hooded shape leans on his car, face a blank under the brim, ember lifting and falling like a signal he doesn't know he's sending. I roll my shoulders once to remind them they live on my back and not in my fists. 10 and 2 without a wheel. Count backward from 5. 4, 3. The crowbar balances along my thigh like it belongs there. The awning's plink, plink fades behind me. The dock's drip picks up the beat and carries it. I think about a hallway with blue lockers and a voice saying, "I'll handle it." I think about a red hoodie and promise, and the way a man can stack those inside his ribs until the math changes. I think about later, and I decide I'm tired of later. The back door gives its wet eye and shuts again. He doesn't look up. Say you're sorry. I practice into the rain just to hear how quiet it can be. Then I start walking. The loading dock isn't a place so much as a noise with boards under it. Water hits the gutter and drops in a steady whoop. Whoop onto the planks. A drain gurgles like a throat clearing. The refrigeration bank holds its low that you feel more than hear. And somewhere a loose bit of plastic wrap flaps against a pallet. Flit, flit, like a trapped moth. The air is a braid of fryer oil, wet cardboard, onions, bleach. Sodium vapor turns everything the color of a bruise. He's where she said, backed into the orange bowl of light, hip on the quarter panel of a car that isn't nice enough to be that proud of. Hood up, one hand in the pocket, one hand bringing the cigarette to the dark under his brim. He doesn't look like a threat. He looks like a man who knows the room bends. Between us and the door, there's a convex mirror the size of a dinner plate, rain pinwheeling across it, giving me a bent version of myself coming on. Above the door, tucked under the eave, a bullet camera wears a bead of water like a bad tear. A tiny red LED winks whenever the compressor thumps. I clock it without meaning to. Machines watch when people won't. My boots slide a little on the oily board and then catch. The tread prints in a thin skin of water that rainbow sheens around the edges. I don't think about it. Later will. Right now is just distance and breath and the weight of the bar along my thigh like a rule I could write if I needed to. He sees me when I'm 10 feet out, not before. He doesn't startle. He lets the ember glow, lifts his chin a notch, and weighs me like produce. Up close, the cologne is louder, cheap and stubborn. The rain finds the cuff of his hoodie and won't let go. "You got a problem, janitor?" he says, and the word slides off the boards and lies there, damp and pleased with itself. I stop 3 feet short. The compressor kicks. The tiny red eye blinks like it's counting. 10 and 2 without a wheel. Count back from 5. 4. 3. Say you're sorry, I tell him. Quiet, like a man asking for his own name back. He tips ash toward the puddle at my feet, like he's blessing the ground between us. Rain slicks the boards until they're a mirror with splinters. My right boot plants, and slides a finger's width before it bites. I feel the heel catch where the rubber's worn shallow. Outside edge, little crescent the shop guy said I'd get fixed. Next tire rotation. The tread prints in the skin of water. Chevrons, a nick missing on the third bar, a tiny stone carried from some other state. It looks like a signature I didn't mean to sign. Name what you see. Board, rail, camera, hand. Sorry for what? He says. The word's lazy, shaped to bounce. He smokes like a man practicing being photographed. For what you did in there, I say. And even I can hear the smallness of the sentence against the compressor's and the dock's whoop. My hand finds the middle of the bar, not the end. Center of gravity where swing turns into statement, not damage. That's what I tell myself. He grins without teeth. You spill something? He nods at my chest like there's a bib there. 2 feet closer, and I could smell his breath through the cologne. Stale sugar and cigarettes. The orange bowl of light pulls both of us taut, leaving the edges to the rain. Behind him, a strip of yellow paint along the curb catches runoff and makes a thin saffron river. My other boot lands there. Slap, and prints a second set over the first. Cleaner now, more definite. If I turned around, the dock would have my route written on it. Say you're sorry, I repeat, and it's not a request now. It's a door propped open with a foot. He flicks his ash at my toe and watches it sizzle. Make me. The bullet camera blinks its tiny red bead in time with the compressor. Tick, tick, like it's keeping minutes for someone who won't be here until morning. The convex mirror at the corner gives me a bent, fisheye version of us. A man with a hood, a man with a bar. Both smaller than they feel. I lift the crowbar just enough that he has to decide whether the next thing he does is forward or back. He doesn't move. He looks past me at nothing, like the night is his audience. Last chance, I say, and my voice has that quiet that knows it can be loud when it needs to. He smiles at the boards. The ember climbs and falls. Then don't miss, he says. The dock light flickers once, like a heartbeat gone wrong. The dock light stutters and holds its breath. The compressor drops a note and the whole yard feels like it's waiting to hear itself. I raise the bar level with his chest, and the rain threads the space between us into something you could almost call a curtain. Silence is a sound. It has weight. It leans on the bones. Name what you see. Board, rail, camera, hand. What if she's lying? The thought walks in like it owns the place and sits down where my good sense should be. What if I'm about to be the monster everyone already thinks I am? Another breath. Another beat. Make me, he says again. Softer, like we're already in the middle of it. I put my left foot where the tread knows the board will take it. I see the tiny red LED over the door wink in time with the compressor. Tick, tick, Keeping minutes for people I haven't met yet. My shoulders remember the locker hall. My ribs remember the bleachers. My pocket remembers the photo. Say it, I tell him last time, and hear how that sentence is too little for what's in my hands. He smiles at the boards. The ember lifts and falls. I swing. Not hard. Clean. A short, flat arc meant for attention, not ruin. The bar meets hoodie and bone with a dull, wooden thock that travels up my arms and stops in my teeth. He folds around it and finds air with a surprised sound that isn't a word. Silence again. A full second of it. It pours over us like cold. Sorry, I say. because I need the universe to know the shape of this moment, and I don't even know who I'm talking to. He straightens by inches, breath hitching. The ember hits the puddle and dies with a small sst. His voice comes out close to my ear, too intimate for Rain. I'll walk. I'll find your home. A beat. Your little girl, Michael. Something in me sets like concrete. The bar is a line drawn on a map. The therapist said, find the latch. I find it. What if I want to be the monster? I hear myself think, and the thought doesn't scare me anymore. A presence at my right shoulder, like a door opening without wind. Her voice is level, the same temperature as the rain. He raped me, she says. Last week. The dock light flickers once and steadies. I lift the bar a breath higher, and for the length of one heartbeat, the world is balanced on the point where choice lives. Then I bring it down, deliberate as signing my name. The sound is different this time, deeper, final. He goes quiet in a way that's louder than anything else. The compressor finds its note again. The drain gurgles. The rain remembers its job. I'm breathing like I climbed stairs. The bar's tip rests on wet wood, ticking small as it cools. From the edge of my vision, she steps closer. Calm, hands empty. Good, she says. Not like praise, not like judgment. Like a door clicking shut. And then she unfolds the paper. Rain needles the dock, thin and constant. The compressor finds its note again, low, and the drain keeps its small throat clearing going. The crowbar ticks against wet wood as it cools, a polite metronome that doesn't care about people. I'm breathing like I carried something heavy up 2 flights and set it down where the stairs end. She's beside me without hurry, the way doors open when they're oiled. No umbrella, no flinch from weather. Hands empty until they aren't. From inside the coat, she draws a folder that doesn't belong to this lot. Heavy stock, edges square as a courthouse, water beading and rolling like the paper has decided not to absorb tonight. A clip, a pen. She keeps the folder tilted under the eave, out of the worst of the rain, and the sodium vapor light warms it to a patient gold. I look where he should be. The boards remember, the night doesn't say. The bullet camera above the door blinks its little red tick in time with the compressor. The convex mirror at the corner holds a bent picture of us. 2 figures in a bowl of orange, one with a bar, one with a book of answers. What is that? I ask, the words scraping their feet before they leave. She opens to a signature block that sits on the page like a clean window. Not courtroom, she says, same tone as inside. Non-disclosure, mutual indemnity, third-party protection. Calm as weather. It affirms I wasn't here and that what happened was your decision. It keeps people who weren't involved from being dragged into something they didn't choose. A beat. It keeps it quiet. The legal language looks like a forest from the wrong road. Dense, orderly, dark. I feel the court paper edge in my wallet like a splinter and hate how well my hand remembers the shape of a pen. I should call this in, I say, and my voice makes a question out of it. The phone in my pocket is a hot coin. I thumb it on. Rain freckles the screen. Bars jump and fall like nervous birds. You can, she says. No rush. No reach for my sleeve. You can wait for lights and uniforms, Michael. Or you can confirm what's already true and keep others out of it. Others. I see a red hoodie behind my eyes. I hear promise rattling like a lug nut in a hubcap. What exactly does it say? I try again, because men like me think words can save us if we line them up slow. That I wasn't here, she repeats. That it was your call. and that no one else gets hurt. She says it like a weather report, not a vow. The phone jitters from dial to nothing. The compressor hums. The camera blinks. Out at the highway, something blue and distant breathes against the low clouds, a pulse that might be weather and might be a cruiser. She holds the page steady under the eave. The pen is patient. The rain keeps counting. Dock. Paper in my hands. Siren far off. The wind shifts and lifts the sound from the highway, a blue pulse breathing on the underside of the clouds. Could be weather. Could be a cruiser running slow. The camera above the door winks its red tick in time with the compressor. Tick, tick, like it's keeping minutes for whoever writes the morning report. The drain gargles. Rain stitches the planks into a single wet thought. I can walk to that cruiser right now, I say, mostly to hear the sentence out loud. My phone wakes again in my palm. Bars climb, drop, climb, die. As if the night's got a hand on the line. I thumb 9-1 and the screen shivers, then goes back to icons like a pond closing over a thrown stone. You can, she says. No finger on my sleeve. No, don't. You can ask for the lights. The lights will come. And this? I nod at the page tilted under the eave. This keeps it where it belongs, she says. Non-disclosure, so nobody else gets dragged. Mutual indemnity, so neither of us pretends we owe each other after tonight. Third-party protection, so people who weren't here stay that way, in court and out. She lifts her eyes. It confirms what already happened. Your call. It doesn't make anything new. No one else gets hurt. The phrase carries the weight of a promise and the shrug of a weather forecast. I can feel it fitting around a red hoodie and the word promise, like a cloak. What if I don't sign? I ask, though both of us know it's a heartbeat masquerading as a question. Then we wait together, she says, not unkind. Lights, forms, names. Your probation will do its math. Cameras will do theirs. The night will get loud. People who weren't involved will learn how to pronounce your last name. The convex mirror shows a bent, smaller me holding a pen I haven't taken yet. In the orange bowl of light, the crowbar ticks like a cooling engine. My boots shine with the thin skin of water that accepted my tread and wrote it down. The phone warms my hand like a hot coin I can't spend twice. I picture walking up the shoulder into that blue. Hands out, mouth ready. The clean honesty of surrender. I picture a girl in a red hoodie holding a ticket in a plastic seat in an empty space at her left. I can walk, I say again. She nods like a doctor who will operate either way. Then you'll walk. Rain threads the gap between us. The pen waits, a small, polite instrument. The blue breath on the clouds fades, returns, fades. I look at the paper until the words turn into a blur that feels like water. She steadies the folder with one palm, fingers flat, nails neat, not a tremor. The rain does its needlework at the edge of the eave. The compressor holds its The bullet camera blinks its red tick in time. She flips a page with her thumb, not showy, just enough to make the paper breathe, and turns it so the bottom margin faces me. There, she says, and her voice doesn't try to be warm. It tries to be clear. Acknowledgement. You initial here that I wasn't present. Here that the choice was yours. Here that you consent to keep this from third parties who weren't involved. And there, she taps twice, you sign. The signature line is a small country with room for one name. Above it, the sentences look simple until you read them twice. affirms voluntary action, indemnifies against consequential claims, prevents propagation of harm to unrelated persons, the kind of English that wears a suit. What does that mean? I ask, because asking is a way to breathe. It means, she says, you keep this where it belongs. It means we don't pull in people who never chose tonight. It means no one else gets hurt. She lets that hang long enough to become a place I could choose to stand. The pen clicks once in her hand, TK, and she sets it down on the folder like you'd set down a key, not into my fingers, between us. The blue pulse on the clouds fades, returns, like a breath a long way off. I should read, I say, and my eyes try. The lines hold still. The spaces between them swim. Rain freckles the edge of the page and beads there instead of soaking in. My tongue tastes metal. My hands remember other forms. Court intake, probation dues, a clipboard with a box too small for what I felt. You can, she says. We have time until we don't. In the convex mirror, we're bent smaller. Two quiet shapes with an instrument between us. In my pocket, the wallet presses the photo against the paper spine. 2 more runs. Promise? The word sits in my mouth like a bolt I forgot to torque. What happens if I don't? I ask, softer than the rain. Lights, names, noise, she says. And math. Your math, not mine. The drain gargles. The crowbar ticks, cooling. I pick up the pen and hold it like a fuse I haven't decided to light. I can walk, I tell her, one last time. You can, she says. Either way, it stays clean. She nods at the line. Your call. The tip of the pen floats over the paper. The camera blinks. The night counts. I steady the folder on my forearm to keep the rain from freckling the bottom edge. The page is dry in a night that isn't. The pen sits where she left it, small, polite, ready. I bring it to the line and watch the ballpoint catch, then roll. Ink laying down my name like a road I can't undrive. M first, taller than it should be. The rest follows. Letters I've signed on delivery slips, on time cards, on a plea. The pressure embosses the stock so the ghost of my name exists, even if the ink didn't. I initial the boxes she tapped. Here, she wasn't present. Here, my decision. Here, no third parties dragged in. The legal English smiles without showing teeth. The rain needles the edge of the eave and doesn't cross it. The camera blinks. The compressor hums. That blue breath on the clouds hesitates and thinks about being weather instead. Read before you sign, my PO likes to say. A joke he tells with a pen hovering. I try. The lines stay put. The spaces between them swim. Voluntary action, indemnified, prevents propagation of harm. Words with suits on. The ink comes out of me anyway. When the last loop lands, when the tail of the L curls into the E, I set the pen down where she'd set it, between us, not in her hand. She doesn't make me pass it back. She closes the folder like you close a clean drawer. Pleasure doing business with you, Michael, she says, even like weather deciding to hold. Very clean deal. The sentence clicks into the night and stops moving, like it has reached the spot it was built for. I look where he should be. The boards remember. The night doesn't. There's a dark quantity thinning under the rain, metallic in the air, spread flat by the plank's grain, but no shape to hold it. The crowbar at my side, warm moments ago, is cool and dry when I lift it. The metal shines like nothing learned it tonight. My boot prints glow in the sodium light, doubled where I planted twice, neat as a diagram. For a blink, The business card on top of the folder isn't a card at all, but the same page I just signed, the signature line still waiting. Then it's just a card again, blank and heavy. She doesn't step back. She simply isn't where she was. No wind, no drama. The compressor finds its note. The drain gargles. The dock light holds steady, as if it never stuttered. I slide the paper into my jacket. It fits like it was made for that pocket. The pen isn't mine. The choice is. I stand by the loading dock. Paper in my pocket. Blue a long way off. The road waits like it always does. I drive away. Dawn comes on like a dimmer switch, not a sunrise. The rain thins to mist. Wipers slow to tick. Tick. The cab hums the contented rigs make when the road is empty and the coffee is hot enough to hurt. I've got the heater set to feet and windshield, toes thawing, mind trying to idle. Paper in my jacket, I tell myself. Pocket over my heart, folded, done. The radio can't hold a station. Snatches of weather, a preacher about mercy, a guitar line that gives up. I kill it and let the tires talk. Shoulder markers whip by. Every so often, a lone mailbox shows up like a tooth in an old jaw. I keep my hands at 10 and 2 because I need a rule to obey. A rattle starts in the dash, the kind you only hear when you're alone with it. I tap the glove box with 2 fingers and it hushes, then speaks up again, a dull chick-chick that earns a sigh out of me. At the next turnout, I nose the truck onto the gravel, set the brake, let the engine keep its low hum. Steam unspools from the exhaust. The world goes quiet enough that I can hear the hot metal of the hood make little tink noises to itself. I pop the glove box to jam a napkin in as a shim. It falls open on its own weight and refuses my plan. Inside, neat as a folded shirt, sits the paper. Heavy stock, square edges, beads of last night's rain dried without soaking in. The top sheet breathes a little from the draft. My name is a bruise through the page. You can see the pressure where the M carved the fibers. I touch my jacket to prove myself wrong. Pockets empty. No tear, no slit. The space where the paper should be feels warm, like a pocket remembers the shape of what it held. I pick up the folder, and it gives that courthouse stiffness in my hand. It smells like nothing. Not paper, not wet, just absence. I flip the first sheet and see exactly what I signed. The box is initialed, the line obeyed, sentences with suits on. Affirms voluntary action, indemnifies. The ink is mine. The groove is mine. The weight is not. I lay it back in the glove box as if it were sleeping, close the lid, and press until the latch clicks. The rattle stops. The cab settles. On the highway again, the wipers find their lazy rhythm. The heater breathes on my boots. I tell myself it's fine. Things move. You misremember pockets. Morning plays tricks. A mile later, the glove box gives a small, satisfied click. Very clean deal, right? I say to the empty cab, and the road doesn't answer. The turnout is one of those gravel scars the highway leaves for people who make up their minds late. I nose in, set the brake. The cab holds its little climate. Heater on feet, windshield just shy of fogging, wipers lazy, tick, tick. Out there, the rain is only suggestion. In here, the coffee cup lid makes a small suck every time I lift it. I open the glove box like a man checking a bandage. The folder is where I left it, square and patient. I don't take the whole thing, just the top sheet, the one with my initials like thumbprints on a clean window. The paper is cool to the touch in a way that doesn't belong to the cab. Not cold like metal, cold like air in a church. I dig under the console for the cheap lighter drivers collect for tarps and shrink wrap. Plastic, blue, thumb wheel scarred, half full if half is generous. Chick, wuff. Butane makes that sweet chemical breath, and the little flame leans toward the page like it recognizes a job. Read before you sign. My PO says in my head, late to the scene as always. Too late, I tell nobody. I bring the flame to the bottom corner, where a normal day would make a brown kiss that spreads to black. Heat licks the edge. A drop gathers, condensation, and runs away as if the fire is uphill. No scorch, no smoke. Not even the mean curl that paper does to show you it's listening. The flame sputters, regathers, tries again. The page takes it like weather. Noted, not changed. I hold longer. The lighter warms my thumb. The cab gets a little butane in its throat. The paper stays cool, not neutral. Cool, like it's absorbing heat the way a towel drinks a spill. The flame begins to look silly. I thumb it off. Tech. Tear it then. Tear is older than fire. I pinch the corner and pull. The fibers resist, not with strength, with dignity. There's give. Then a slow slide like I'm parting hair, not paper. A white line appears and refuses to turn into two pieces. I stop before I learn something I don't want to know. The heater breathes. The wipers count. I put the page on the dash and lay my palm on it the way you settle a feverish kid. It is colder than my skin. I just wanted it to stop, I say, and the glass gives me back my mouth moving. I slide the sheet home, close the glove box until the latch gives its satisfied click. The cab feels smaller after. A soft chime sounds from the GPS. One of those polite beeps that means a new idea has arrived. The map wakes on its own, bright in the gray. The polite chime sounds again, ding, and the dash wakes like a fish opening one eye. The map blooms out of gray, a thin blue line from where I am to where I told it last. Drop lot on the east side, gate code in my head. The voice that lives in the box clears her throat, recalculating. I didn't ask you to, I tell the air, because talking to machines is cheaper than talking to people. The blue line shrinks, turns, redraws. A new waypoint blossoms dead center like a bruise. MM33. Not a town, not a ramp, just a green pin on nothing, labeled like the state painted it there on purpose. The route snakes to it first, then back to my job, as if that's the only way the world connects. No, I say, and jab the screen with a finger. Remove waypoint. The pin vanishes. The map breathes. The line smooths to the drop. I nod like we've agreed to be men. The polite chime returns. Ding. And MM33 grows back exactly where it was, like a weed you didn't get the root of. I kill guidance. The map sulks into overview. I thumb the power. The screen goes black, then wakes on its own. Logo, gradient, welcome. Like it slept for the blink it needed, then decided it knew better. Recalculating. The blue line redraws with MM33 smiling in the middle of it. Fine, I say, and pull the paper out of the glove box because I want to prove a superstition wrong. The page chills my fingers. I lay it flat on my knee. The heater keeps breathing on my boots. The cab should be a pocket of weather I own. The map zooms without me touching it, lensing down until the shoulder markers become teeth. The green pin winks like an eye. Phone then, I thumb to contacts. Daughter sits where she always sits at the top with the star I gave her. I tap. The call wheel spins and spins like a child pretending. It drops without ringing and comes back with a cheerful banner. Call failed. Bars at 4, then 3, then 1, then back up like nothing happened. I try my PO's number. The same pond closes over the same stone. No one else gets hurt. I hear in the voice she uses when she lists facts. The wipers count, tick, tick, and the GPS adds a small sound I haven't heard before. A soft pock every time I steer away from the route. A tiny scold like a metronome for bad decisions. I shoulder check the empty road, ease back onto blacktop, and hold the wheel straight on purpose just to feel the box's relief. The blue line settles. The pin waits. Mile 33 isn't a place, it's a meeting. I look at the paper on my knee without reading it. The map zooms one more notch, so close the marker eats the screen. I slide the page onto my thigh and angle it toward the windshield so the gray daylight can do the reading for me. Defrost whispers. Wipers count. Tick, tick. And the cab breathes warm onto my shins. Ink that I know is mine sits where I left it. The white space above it looks like snow no one has stepped in. I'm not looking for comfort. I'm looking for a technicality. Guys like me build our hope out of clauses. Halfway down the block of English in a suit, I find one. Jurisdiction lapse on third-party consent unless... The words sit there like an unlocked gate. My breath fogs the lower edge of the page. I drag a sleeve across it and lean closer. If consent wasn't freely given, if there's a lapse, then a hairline of gray appears where there wasn't any. Not ink, not pencil, just the idea of letters, faint as watermarks, resolving. The unlocked gate grows a second bar across it unless jurisdiction is retained under perpetual collection authority upon voluntary execution. The phrase completes itself in front of me, each ghost stroke filling until it's as bold as the rest. The unlocked gate is a picture I painted on the wrong wall. I blink and search for the trick. No pen in my hand, no condensation shaping words. The heater keeps whispering. The wipers keep time. The GPS pops its little pock like a metronome waiting on a conductor. Above the signature, new lines are breathing into being, plain as road signs, surrender of destiny, perpetual jurisdiction, lower collection. They don't bloom. They arrive, as if they always lived in the fibers, and I'm just the last to see them. On the dash, a bead of rain crawls along the glass and turns the daylight into a strip of silver. In that moving mirror, for half a second, I see a faint rubber stamp land on the bottom corner of the page. Clean serif letters that read, paid. It isn't on the paper when I look straight. It's only in the reflection, like the cab and I disagreed about reality and the glass took her side. Very clean deal, I hear myself say. And it sounds like a man practicing his own eulogy. I lift the sheet to tear it, because tearing is older than law. The fibers give like hair under a comb and refuse to separate. The corner smooths itself flat again under my thumb, polite as a clerk. The GPS chimes, ding, and zooms so tight the screen is only a green pin and a blue line feeding it. The heater remembers to breathe. The glove box gives a small, satisfied click without my hand on it. I put the paper back where it wants to live and close the latch. It sounds like a door settling after hours. I just wanted it to stop, I say to the windshield. Out on the highway, far behind me or ahead, I can't tell. Blue breath touches the underbelly of the clouds and goes out. They came anyway. I catch them first as color, blue breathing under the clouds, then red joining it, before the mirror makes a picture. Patrol car in the lane behind me, light bar washing the cab in a heartbeat I don't get to set. Wipers go tick, tick. The heater keeps its small promise to my feet. The GPS offers its polite pock like it's pleased with how the line and the lights agree. Driver of the tractor trailer, signal and pull to the right. Engine off. Keys on the dash, hands where we can see them. The PA is calm, like the voice is paid by the hour. I put the blinker on anyway, habit asking to be noticed, and let the rig roll to the shoulder. Gravel answers under the tires. I set the brake. The truck sighs, psh, like it's been holding its breath for me. Keys up on the dash where the light can find them. Hands at the top of the wheel, 10 and 2, the one trick I know. The patrol car noses in behind and cants a little to make a triangle. Door opens, then closes with cop weight. I can hear the radio make a small burp of words I'm not invited to. Window down halfway, glass motor whining like it's embarrassed by the moment. He comes up on the passenger side, because that's the safe side. Hat brim sheds the wet. Hand on the edge of my window, the other posted on his belt where habit lives. Morning, he says, like mornings don't argue. License, registration, bill of lading. Morning, I say, because I was raised. Wallet finds my hand like a trained thing. The license has the same photo it always had. A man practicing gentle. I pass it through. Paperwork follows. Know why I stopped you? He asks, eyes on the page, voice neutral enough to measure flour. No, sir. 2 things, he says. Lane drift back there, and your plate pinged LPR about 30 minutes ago near the diner off 33. Routine safety check. The way he says routine makes the word a crate you can carry anything in. He looks past me into the cab without moving his head. Cop eyes can do that. You hauling straight through? Yes, sir. Drop on the east side. He nods once, like he respects geography. Would you mind stepping out so we can do this without traffic in your ear? I mind. I open the door anyway. The shoulder's wet gravel, and the wind picks at my jacket like a friend with bad timing. He keeps me at the front of the truck, angled from the road, the hood a metal altar between us and the passing world. Another unit slides in behind his, lights joining the pulse. Somewhere back there, a dash cam stares like a patient animal. Face the truck, hands on the hood, he says, and the words fit a groove that's been carved a long time. Spread your feet. Metal is colder than rain. The hood pulls heat out of my palms without asking. He pats me down like a man looking for a story he already knows, respectful as policy, thorough as math. Any weapons, Michael? The voice from the basement asks. Try quieter, the PO answers. Turn around for me. He watches my eyes, not my hands. We're going to have a conversation. I need you not to make this louder than it has to be. Behind him, the radio burps again. Unit confirms interior video at diner. Timestamp pending. Blood on scene. The words are just noise, until they aren't. I nod like men nod when their choices have already been spent. The wind smells like wet brakes and roadside grass. The glove box in my head gives a small, satisfied click. They came anyway, I say, to no one he can hear. Fluorescents make a thin winter of any room. This one hummed zzz and flattened the colors until everything looked like a decision. Stainless table in the middle. Brown paper bags with mouths rolled twice. Plastic clamshells with labels where names should be. Property, chain of custody. A printer coughed out forms in small, official breaths. Somewhere a camera shutter kept time, chick, chick, like a patient bird. I didn't see it that night, not all at once. I saw it later, first in a discovery binder with tabs like teeth, then on a courtroom screen 10 feet tall. But memory stitches it together into one table under one light. My boots go first. They sit side by side on butcher paper like animals that learn to be still. A tech in nitrile gloves dusts the tread with a brush that looks too soft to matter, then lifts a cast from a mold they poured on the dock. The cast is cream-colored and ugly and perfect. Chevrons that nick on the third bar, the pebbles scar from some other state. Tread match, the caption will say under the photo later, as if a sentence could be a handcuff. The crowbar lies in a clear sleeve with a ruler strip taped along its length. It's clean, cleaner than tools get. Metal bright under the plastic like it lives in a catalog. Next to it, a paper dish holds paint chips the color of school bus yellow, and a flake of something gray from a handrail. Another photo has them married up under a microscope. Edges that agree with each other the way puzzle pieces do. Tool mark analysis consistent with contact. The English wears a suit again. Evidence swabs in little tubes sit upright like straws, A, B, C, capillaries of someone else's night. A placard reads, "Scene, loading dock, blood pattern, volume and incompatible with life." The phrase has no adjectives. It does not need them. Another tray lists microfragments, tissue, bone, collected from the drain grate with a tweezer and a patience that made the room hold its breath. Bagged receipts with timestamps, still frames from the diner's interior. Me, a coffee, a tray that will soon fly. External camera by the dock, a hooded shape, a man with a bar. Time in the corner like a witness who doesn't blink. ALPR hits stack in a neat column. My plate at mile roads I always take. Telematics ping my rig's heartbeats from the dispatch portal, a blue pulse that drawings can't hide. Tape rips, labels click. Someone signs a line and passes the pen. The room doesn't accuse, it arranges. Courtrooms smell like lemon oil and old paper. Fluorescents make a pale weather, and the HVAC turns the whole day into a steady hum. The gallery breathes like one animal. Cough, chair creak, someone clears a throat and thinks better of it. The clerk calls a case number that sits where a name should be. Mine lands after it, plain as a stamp. The screen warms to life, blue, then grayscale, then a still of the diner interior. Me at the counter, a coffee, a tray that hasn't flown yet. The prosecutor talks in a voice that makes everything sound already decided. State's exhibit, interior camera, time-stamped. Click. Next. The loading dock camera, grain, rain, a hooded shape, a man with a bar. Time in the corner blinks like it doesn't get a vote. Defense stands. He's tidy, careful with words like their glassware. Your Honor, dock cam timestamp shows a 2-minute mismatch to the receipt clock. He lets the line hang, like he's holding up a rope that might still take weight. The room inhales. For a heartbeat, you can hear the AC breathe. The prosecutor doesn't hurry. Synced to the point of sale register, she says, fingertip on a printout with arrows. Mismatch resolved. She doesn't look at me. She doesn't have to. The judge nods once, as if a picture frame has been straightened. The medical examiner speaks like a ledger. Volume incompatible with life. No theatrics. A photo of the drain grate appears. Tweezers, tiny labeled vials. Micro fragments consistent with tissue and bone. The English wears a suit. It fits. The tool on the cart looks like mine when the tech rolls it up in its clear sleeve. No blood detected, defense says, almost hopeful. The state answers with a microscope slide on the screen. Yellow paint from a curb, gray from a handrail, edges married to the crowbar's skinned lip. Tool mark analysis consistent with contact. The jury writes without looking up, They bring my boots in like they're evidence and not shoes. Casts of tread line up with prints from wet boards. There's the nick on the third bar, big on the screen as a map. LPR hits stack like mile markers. Telematics trace my rig across the county, a blue pulse only a dispatcher loves. Then a transcript, black type on white, reads out a bunk room conversation I wish had stayed breath. We all do things we ain't proud of. The jailhouse informant's name lives under a black bar, voice replaced by the neat clack of the stenographer, tack, 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 turning air into evidence. The judge's instructions are clean, like a checklist. Circumstantial isn't a synonym for empty. It's a bridge if the planks hold. The jury files out with faces like doors. The room exhales. The lemon oil keeps shining. The HVAC keeps its weather. I fold my hands because there's nothing left to hold. Verdicts don't sound like thunder. They land without adjectives. The judge's mouth moved. The clerk made it a sentence, and the room rearranged itself around a word that means the rest of your life. No gavel. Just the sound of my own breath getting organized. Cuffs again. Chain at the waist. Property bag with my name on a label that looks like every other label. The hallway outside court smelled like lemon oil and cold air from a vent that never quits. A deputy touched my elbow in that practiced way that says he doesn't need to. He just will. We rode an elevator that hummed watched our reflections not look back. Intake is a checklist. Shoes off, socks off. Orange where clothes used to be. Camera flash that takes a picture of a man practicing gentle and puts numbers where his name is. Fingerprint scanner chirp. Nurse with calm hands. Any injuries? Any thoughts of harming yourself? I say no because that's what men say when they don't know what the right yes is. Clipboard scratches. Paper disappears into a slot and becomes someone else's business. They walk me down a tier that smells like bleach and old rain. Voices are televisions far away, a shout that doesn't belong to a person yet, a laugh that already forgot the joke. The vents turn the whole place into one machine breath. Keys talk to each other. Steel murmurs. My cell is a rectangle with a bunk and a stainless sink welded to a toilet like a joke nobody laughs at. Mattress like a folded tarp. Shelf the size of a book I won't get. Windows slit blue as a bruise. The deputy says my last name like it's the only one in his mouth. The door slides, thinks about it, and then clank. That's the only gavel I remember. I sit. The bed answers with a plastic sigh. The air tastes of disinfectant and pipe. Somewhere down the run, a domino of doors shuts the rest of the way. The vent keeps its weather. My hands find each other because there's nothing left to hold. No one else gets hurt, she'd said, like a forecast. The room is very quiet in the way that means everybody else is safe. I think of a red hoodie under stadium lights. 2 more runs. Promise? The word sits in my mouth like a bolt I can't torque. I start to say it and don't. Keys again. Footsteps pause at my door. A flap lifts and drops. A voice through the slot, bored as a clock. Visitation, he says. Booth 3. Fluorescents flatten the afternoon into clinic light. The vent in the ceiling turns the room into one long hum that never ends. A CO walks me down a hall of windows that don't open. Keys talk to each other at his hip. My shoes make that rubber skiff on waxed linoleum. We pass doors with wired glass, each showing a square of somebody else's weather. The booth is a rectangle cut in half by an immaculate pane. On each side, a plastic chair bolted to the floor. A shelf that remembers elbows. A black phone on a stainless cradle with a coiled cord, smoothed by 1,000 nervous hands. Someone's kid left a fogged half-print low on the glass that the last wipe-down missed. A clock ticks with classroom certainty. Tock, tock. The room smells like sanitizer and paper. 3, the CO says, bored as a screensaver. He buzzes a door. Burst. It answers with an iron chkay you feel in your fillings. Sit tight. Pick up when they tell you. He doesn't check if I heard. He doesn't need to. I sit. The chair squeals one small complaint and then accepts me. I put my hands on the shelf where they can't do harm. The handset waits with that old kitchen plastic squeak if you shift it. Mouthpiece worn satin smooth. Across the glass, the empty twin chair looks posed for a photo of absence. Glass, phone, her. I say it in my head like mile markers. A door on the far side blinks its red light, then opens. She steps through like she brought the weather with her and set it down. Same coat as the diner, dry where this place can't touch it. Same jaw that holds its own counsel. A guard there does not look at her and still sees everything about her. She nods once at nobody and sits with her back straight and her hands together like she's holding a small, silent object. For a heartbeat, the reflection in the pane lags, a half second behind the way she smooths her cuff. Then it catches up. Old glass, bad ballast, tired eyes. I pick one and let the others go. We don't speak yet. The vent breathes for us. Somewhere down the hall, a latch kisses metal. Tink. And a laugh remembers it shouldn't. She looks at me the way a map looks at a road. Not surprised I showed up, only curious whether I'll read it this time. She lifts her handset with 2 calm fingers and brings it to her ear. The cord relaxes into a shape it learned years ago. I pick up mine. Plastic squeak, cool against the cheek. Her mouth doesn't move for a second. The glass takes our faces and irons them flat. "Hello, Michael," she says, like we are on opposite sides of a conference table and not a pane. "You said no one else would get hurt," I tell the pane. My voice comes back thinner, ironed flat by the glass and the handset. She tilts her head a degree, enough to register, not enough to count as sympathy. "And no one will," she says. "You're locked away for life. Mission accomplished." The vent keeps its long hum. The clock does its classroom tuck, tuck. Somewhere a door gives a small checka and forgets it. "You set me up." "I tipped the first domino," she says, same calm as the diner. "Your file was public enough. Probation terms, therapy schedule, incident notes. The rest is the weather you bring with you." She lets a beat pass. "You could have walked to the cruiser. You chose the pen. You had the paper ready. I always do." She looks at the handset cord like it's a specimen. "Crisis settlements, quiet fixes. We're very good at paperwork, Michael. We don't take what isn't given." I watch her mouth form the words and try to hear a lie. The glass offers me a lagged version, like a second opinion that agrees. "That line you used," I say. "No one else gets hurt." She nods, acknowledges the exhibit. Accurate. A small breath. Clean doesn't mean consequence-free. It means contained. "You told him to hit my tray." "I asked him to make noise," she says, not flinching. "Paid a tab, owed a favor. He thought it was a joke. You were always going to supply the meaning." She lifts 2 fingers, the way a teacher marks a point. "Rooms have learned to move around men like him. You've seen it. You hate it. That's why you listen to me." "Did he?" The word won't line up. Rain that isn't raining runs down the back of my neck. "You wanted a sentence to wrap around your anger," she says, not unkind. "I gave you one." She doesn't add true or false. She doesn't need to. The handset plastic creaks softly where my grip gets tired. Say you'll protect me. I hear myself. Late. I did, she answers. Just not the way you pictured. I protected the world from you. The clock counts a few inches of silence. I don't pick the mile marker, she adds, almost to the glass. I just meet the quota. I close my eyes because the room is too bright. The phone warms my cheek. In the pain, half a second behind, I see myself do it again. You could have walked, she says, quieter. You rehearsed the sentence. You liked how it fit. Very clean deal, I say, and the words taste like metal. She watches my mouth form them, then lowers her eyes to the shelf between us as if there's a document there only she can see. Stamped, she says. The handset plastic squeaks when I shift. The vent keeps its weather. The glass holds. We sit with the plastic to our faces and the pain ironing us flat. The clock does its classroom tuck, tuck. The vent's long hum fills the spaces we don't. What happens now? I ask, because men like me still hope processes can be bargained with. Her eyes don't blink fast. Now you serve the part that belongs to this building. A small pause. When your body gives out, the rest is collected. That was the deal. Collected. Like trash night. Like invoices. Like harvest. Lower collection, I say, and the words fog my side of the glass. She inclines her head as if I finally read a sign correctly. We don't drag anyone. We don't pry. We wait. People sign themselves in. Another beat. You did good paperwork. The handset plastic squeaks where my grip tightens. Somewhere down the hall, a key kisses a lock, tink, and forgets it. From my right, a door sighs and closes. The room keeps its weather. You were never going to fix him, she says, not unkind. That's not what nights like that are for. I know, I say, and hear how late the knowing is. She stands without scraping the chair. Her coat falls into the shape coats are supposed to have. She looks at me the way road signs look. Neutral, necessary. Then she lifts her free hand and sets her palm against the glass. Flat, deliberate. Fingers splayed like she's measuring something only she can see. I don't move at first. There's the rule about hands and where they go. There's the superstition about touching things you don't understand. The clock takes 2 steps. Tuck, tuck. I raise my palm and place it where hers is. 2 prints divided by one idea of clean. Cold doesn't cross. Warmth doesn't either. But something like pressure agrees. On her side, the glass blooms a perfect handprint, as if moisture came from her palm instead of mine. Whorls, lines, the ridges that make a person a person. On my side, nothing. The pain is immaculate except for my breath. She looks at the print, not at me. Tell your anger thank you for trying to keep you safe, she says, like a clinician. Then tell it to sit. My daughter, I say, and my throat forgets how to be a throat. If you see her before I do. She lowers her hand. The print stays on her side, crisp as a stamp. She sets the handset back on its cradle with a sound so soft, it feels like a decision. On her way up, the reflection in the pane lags a heartbeat behind the real motion and then catches up. She doesn't look back. She doesn't need to. I keep the phone at my ear because I don't have anything left to hold. Dawn here shows up as a rumor first. The vent's hum turns thinner. The fluorescents feel less like a lid. The slit of window bleeds from charcoal to milk, and the wall teaches the light how to be dull. Somewhere down the run, a mop bucket rolls. Clack, clack. And a voice says good morning to nobody in particular. I sit on the bunk with my hands where hands can't do harm and let the room make its weather. When I close my eyes, I can put myself somewhere the air has edges. 2-lane blacktop, wet grass gone silver with mist, birds trying out their throats, a mile marker the color of lime standing at the shoulder like it has always stood there and will even after the asphalt forgets to be a road. 33. Rain beads on the face of it and slides down clean, making that little vertical river numbers love. The wipers aren't ticking. The engine isn't humming. In the picture in my head, there's only the soft scrape of a far truck braking and the sound mist makes when it decides to be air. The marker doesn't look haunted. Looks like a sign doing its job. Roads don't make you do anything. They just put you where the people will. Someone will ease off the throttle there, out by the diner with the refrigerators singing and the neon that can't hold a decision. Someone with a pocket that feels thin and a promise that feels heavier than it should. Someone who's been taught to keep rooms quiet. The awning will count on the metal chair. Plink, plink. And the reflection in the pie case will lag a heartbeat behind what's real. The hinge will give it small, wet E. A shoulder will move where it shouldn't. The first domino never looks like a domino until you see it from the end. Mist lifts. The marker doesn't care, it just marks. Back in the booth, that is my cell. The clock on the tier coughs up a minute. The vent draws one long, plain breath. On the glass that lives behind my eyes, a faint stamp lands at the bottom right corner of the scene. Clean serif letters that don't exist when I look straight. Paid. If you drive nights, you'll pass it. If you're lucky, it will pass you. They don't drag you to hell. They just wait for you to sign yourself in. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the bell so you won't miss what's next.